What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into a Friday morning edition of the Daily Juice podcast with me, Matt Perrault, at Sports Talk Matt on Twitter. To follow me every morning, we're here on BettingPros. Remember, if you ever can't find the podcast, BettingPros.com actually puts the podcast on the bottom of the actual site. There's a player you can go and listen to the Daily Juice podcast right there. So if you're like, Matt, it's not loading on Apple. Well, that's where you can go and find the podcast. Always being brought to you by BetMGM. The offer, you guys know it, $10 to win $150 on any event. Promo code JUICE150 at sign up for new accounts. It does not work in Las Vegas and Nevada. Someone DM'd me that yesterday saying, hey, I'm coming to the Super Bowl. Do you think I can use the promo code? No, it works anywhere else except, I should probably caveat, BetMGM in Nevada versus BetMGM everywhere else. They're actually two separate entities. I know it's confusing as heck, but BetMGM as a application is actually outside of Nevada. There is BetMGM Nevada, which is its own entity. There is no sign-up bonuses for signups in Nevada, just FYI. So that's the story on that. So last night I had a chance to go to the Westgate Superbook and check out all the prop bets. Saw a bunch of professional gamblers that I know and I've worked with over the years, and seeing coworkers of mine. And here's this big celebratory thing when the big packet comes out. Some really cool bets that are up there in the prop betting market. Kind of wild to watch people bet $2,000 on a prop bet consistently, but that's what happened last night at the Westgate. That was a lot of fun. No, I was not betting $2,000 on a prop bet, but it is fun to kind of live vicariously through those people going, wow, you really like that prop to drop $2,000. We ended up watching the end of the Arizona game. Arizona wins, covers. That was beautiful. Get that right. 6.5 points. Arizona gets the revenge that we thought. Suns do not continue the streak. Their 11-game winning streak is over. They lose on the road to the Atlanta Hawks. I didn't think that was going to be the team that was going to knock them off, but Trae Young company gets jobs done. I like those Hawks a lot. Somebody was like, don't fade the Hawks. I'm like, dude, I don't fade the Hawks. I bet on them all the time, but not last night. So unfortunately, we get that wrong. Props go 0-2. Unfortunately, Curry goes for 20, not 25. And then Ayton did not have nearly the game that I thought he was going to have. So 0-2 there. So down a half a unit, 1-3 on the night. So the 2-game winning streak, or it was more than that, though. It was like a 3-day winning streak, comes to an end. Those things are going to happen. All right. So here's the deal. I think last night I made it sound like the Super Bowl was this weekend. Clearly, it's next weekend, right? So we have the Pro Bowl and the NHL All-Star Game. The NHL All-Star Game is here in Vegas. Next day, Pro Bowl here in Vegas. So I'm going to have some opportunities to bet on some markets that I normally wouldn't get into. But if I could take a betting vacation, these are the 3 days I would take a betting vacation. I would not bet tonight. I would not bet Saturday, and I would not bet on Sunday because there's just a lot of wonky stuff going on right now. Then we'd get to Super Bowl week, and then we really can kind of get into it. I leave for Los Angeles on Tuesday night. I don't know what I'm going to do. I may need to record the Daily Juice for Wednesday. Maybe I'll have to do it before the games go off. I don't know exactly yet what I'm going to do with the Wednesday schedule because I'm going to be driving for 4.5 hours, and I don't know if I want to tape the podcast the second that I get to the house we're staying at. So I don't know what's going to happen next week, but you're going to get a very different location for me in Los Angeles for the Daily Juice podcast, where I'm going there to cover the events. So I don't know. It's going to be kind of a wonky week. So that's kind of a long story short of telling you I have one bet for you today, and I have the parlay. Okay, so those are the only things I'm betting. I'm going to bet one bet today. Only going to go a half a unit, and then bet on the don't bet a parlay on a Friday. I may add, but this is going to be kind of a wonky, as I said, weird weekend. So I'm not going to go too heavy here on a Friday. I don't love what's going on, but here is what I am betting here for today. And that is, I'm going to take the Philadelphia 76ers catching 1 point on the road at the Dallas Mavericks. All right, when you look at this matchup, it's an interesting matchup, okay? And I'm not going to say, if you come at me and say I'm taking Dallas at home, laying a short number, I'm going to roll with this. But Philadelphia is, I think, the better basketball team. And as long as Joel Embiid plays, now, if he doesn't play, if he's scratched, punt out of this bet, okay? But you get the Sixers coming off of a home loss to Washington, where they were laying 10 points and they lost by 3. You know that's not going to sit well with this Sixers team. They may get Seth Curry back tonight. That's a big bounce, big boost to their shooting game. But, up until then, they had won 6 games in a row, and they had covered 3 of those last 6 games. So it's a short number. It's only 1. Dallas has lost their last 2 games to Oklahoma City at home, laying 12. They lost by 6. And then on the road to Orlando, laying 5. They lost by 2. I don't think they're playing all that well right now. Now, maybe you're going to get like an epic performance here out of Luka, and maybe he goes for 60 or something crazy, but I just don't think he has enough help to deal with this Sixers roster, who I think are going to be angry coming off of a loss, and I have a small number. I think it's MVP candidate versus MVP candidate again. Chance for Joel Embiid to go out and show out on the road. The Sixers are 16-10 against the spread this year. That's pretty good. 12-13-1 at home for Dallas. Both these teams are 26-25 against the spread this season. Dallas 26-25-1. Philly is 26-25. They are 2-3 over the last 5, both teams, and 5-5 for Philly, 4-5-1 for Dallas. So they're kind of, against the spread, doing very similar things. I just think I got Embiid and I got a better roster for Philly and Curry maybe coming back. I'm going to take the plus point, the 1 point. I'm going to go half a unit, Philadelphia +1 here on the road at Dallas, with that one caveat that if Embiid doesn't play, which we never know with him, but if he happens to be out, this bet gets punted. But as long as he's playing, I will take Philadelphia catching a point on the road at Dallas for a half a unit. Maybe I'll add something during the day. Maybe there's something that will jump out at me, but there's no hockey, and it's a really weird college basketball schedule. The only good game on the schedule is a makeup game for the Creighton Blue Jays at Seton Hall, okay? Jays are catching 6.5 points. Jays on the year are 10-10 against the number. Seton Hall 8-10-1 against the number. At home, they're 5-5 for the Hall, but over the last 10, 2-7-1. And against the Big East, they're 2-7-1. The Creighton Blue Jays are 6-3 after their big upset win over UConn in their last game. Huge win for them. They're 6-4 against the spread on the road. I'm going to use the Creighton Blue Jays as one of the legs for the Don't Bet a parlay. Creighton +6.5 on the road at Seton Hall. Okay. So look, the Jays had lost back-to-back games badly on the road. They lost to Butler by 17 points. On the road to Xavier, they lost by 7, catching 9.5 against Villanova. They were catching 10.5, and they lost by 34. So not good on the road for the Jays. They've lost. They won that game on the road against UConn, which was big. So they're 1-3 straight up on the road over the last 4 games. Not sure they win this game, but I do think they can keep this game relatively close. Seton Hall just beat Georgetown, who's horrible, by 7 as 7-point favorites, and they lost to Marquette and St. John's in the 2 previous games. I'm going to take the Jays to not have a second half collapse. I don't mind a first half Creighton bet, and I might get into that. That might be where I take the other half a unit and jump in. Maybe a first half over, but I don't know yet on that. I'm just going to take the Jays +6.5 as the first leg of the Don't Bet a parlay. Then the 2 other legs. The Brooklyn Nets are on the road at the Utah Jazz. The Brooklyn Nets have lost 6 consecutive games, and Donovan Mitchell's coming back tonight after the concussion. He's missed 2 weeks. This number was 1.5. Mitchell got cleared. It spiked to 5.5 to where it is right now. I like Utah here. I think Brooklyn's reeling. I think James Harden looks kind of washed here a little bit, and they've been bad. On this 6-game losing streak, they only covered once, and that was that game against Golden State where they're catching 10.5, and they lost by 4. Lost to Sacramento by 11, Phoenix by 10, Denver by 6, Lakers by 10, Minnesota by 11. They're not just losing; they're losing by multiple possessions here. These games are not that close. Utah, tough place to play. They're at home. I'm going to take the Utah Jazz laying 5.5 points here. And then the Charlotte Hornets are at home against the Cleveland Cavaliers. The number is 4.5. Charlotte coming off that loss to the Boston Celtics. In the last game, we went ahead and bet Boston. Boston won and covered, but 4.5 points here from Charlotte. I like Charlotte here in this game in a bounce back spot. Cleveland's been playing pretty poorly over the last couple of games. Lost by 25 points to the Clippers. Lost by 6 to the Boston Celtics. Oh, sorry, that's Charlotte. Excuse me. They lost by 11 to the Houston Rockets. Lost by 10 to the Detroit Pistons. Okay, I mean, my goodness gracious, Cleveland. They beat New Orleans by 3, laying 4.5 points. I got a home favorite here off of a loss. They've lost 2 games in a row, as I said, to the Clippers and to the Boston Celtics. I think this is a chance to kind of a little bit of bounce back spot here and for Charlotte to kind of right the ship against a Cleveland team. And we'll see about injuries. Gordon Hayward most likely is out of this game, continuing to deal with that foot injury, but everyone else could be okay. No Sexton, no Rubio. They're both done for the season here for Cleveland. Their team was great, but they really ran into that injury bug. On the road, they're 15-10-2 for Cleveland, but at home, Charlotte is 15-7 against the spread at home, and against the conference, they're 21-10 against the number. So I'm going to include Cleveland and Charlotte. Take Charlotte minus 4.5 here for a plus. Really, it's plus 590. It's close enough. Okay, plus 590 parlay. Utah minus 5.5, Charlotte minus 4.5, and the Creighton Blue Jays plus 6.5 tonight here for the Don't Bet a Parlay. Parlay, close enough to be a plus 600 parlay. You want to throw Philly in there, you can make it a plus 1,200 parlay if you want. Okay, you can do that if you want to soar over. That fourth leg is a huge deal. That's betting parlays, 3 legs only. 4, 5, and higher, the books love you. They make a lot of money on you, and it's very difficult to be profitable in cash on that. So that's why we do 3 legs, 3-leg parlays, plus 600, plus 590 on those 3 plays. Okay, so we're taking Philadelphia plus 1 on the road against Dallas at a half a unit. And if you want to play the parlay, doesn't count for the record, but we're 1-1 over the last 2 weeks since bringing this thing back. See if we can hit another one. We're still profitable. If you bet it, we're still very profitable here on the Don't Bet a Parlay every Friday. Philly plus 1, half a unit, and then Creighton plus 6.5, Utah minus 5.5, Charlotte minus 4.5. 3 legs for the Don't Bet a Parlay. My name is Matt Perrault. Follow me on Twitter at SportsTalkMatt. Each and every morning, it's the Daily Juice podcast, always being brought to you by BetMGM.